Alright, so this is a little bit awkward, but turns out we have that car for just one more day. I thought it was leaving today, but it's leaving tomorrow. And so I thought I might as well just milk out some Porsche. What's going on? I didn't press anything. Anyways, I thought I might as well just milk out some Porsche content before the baby leaves. So this is my final thoughts on the Porsche 718 Cayman GTS. Whew. Okay. I'm not showing you the cold start this time, bro. You freaking go watch some of my other videos. Okay, so in case you haven't watched any of my other videos, which is probably the case, because I've only made 2 videos so far. But like I said before, this is the 2020 GTS, so it's not the 4-liter. And we're getting rid of it for a different car that you will hopefully see in the next video. So we've had this car for about 5 years, I think, and in that time we've done 10,500 miles. And that's only because as soon as we bought this car, COVID happened, and then my mother ended up moving back to South Korea, and I moved to New York. So there was no one around to drive this thing, sadly, for this baby. And so yeah, we've just been one of those people who keep their dogs on a leash and never take them on a walk. So I'm sorry, don't call PETA. However, this is kind of embarrassing to say at this point, but I have put more miles on this car than my mother has. Yeah, well, it's at 10,000 miles. I think I've done 6 or 7, and she's done 3. So I still have a good understanding of this car and what it is. And so I guess I'll just share my experience of what it's been like to have the opportunity to drive this beautiful thing right here. I think now that we're getting rid of this car, whoa, what's going on with the clouds, man? That's crazy. Oh, that's beautiful. What's going on? Is it like... Okay, if I'm being honest, I've already made a final thoughts video on this car before, which is probably going to be my first video on this channel, where I just talk about why I prefer my BMW over this car, right? And that point still stands. You know, I went on a night drive yesterday. You might have seen that video. And as much as I enjoyed it, it's still not a good feeling to know that, like, if you get pulled over, it will not be a good time. Like, if I get pulled over in my BMW, I just get a speeding ticket. If I got pulled over in this car, I get my license taken away and the car impounded. But anyways, we're not gonna talk shit about this car in this video. If you wanna hear all the gripes I have with it, you can watch the other video. And I guess for this video, I just wanna philosophize the aspects of being a car enthusiast when it relates to a car like this. I think the thing about being a car enthusiast is you lust over so many different types of sports cars, right? And it usually boils down to either a Porsche or an M3 or a Ferrari, you know. The funny thing about the psychology of the car enthusiast that I realized just in the past couple of days is, you know, like, while I've had unlimited access to this car, I felt mostly the same things I talked about in the first video, where this car's way too fast for the road, I can't enjoy myself at legal speeds, and it's just it's such a waste of potential, and potentially even money too, right? And I think what stood out to me last night is I got really bummed out, right? I just started thinking about how much I'm going to miss having this experience and how badly I want to keep this car, or in the future have the chance to buy something like this again. Granted, it won't be this car. It's probably the 4-liter or the Cayman R. You know, that's been my dream car for a long time. But I just started thinking about how much I like this car now that I'm no longer gonna have access to it. Like I said it in my other video, I choose to drive my BMW 9 out of 10 times. You know, it's only the past week where I knew that we were gonna sell this car that I started driving this car more. And now that I'm just thinking about not having this car anymore, I'm starting to feel FOMO again and feel the need to drive this car more. And I think it just makes me realize how priceless perspective is, and how, you know, people in positions like myself get to have these kinds of perspectives in life because we have access to these kinds of luxuries. But that's a totally different topic. But I guess the point I'm trying to get at is that a lot of these cars that seem so special to us, the things that we lust over, and I used to freaking stay up at night just thinking about my dream garage. And I think a lot of car enthusiasts can relate with me in that experience, right? But I'm realizing that a lot of that lust, a lot of that obsession comes particularly from the fact that you don't have it and you don't have access to it. And if you find yourself in a position where you do have unlimited access to it, like I've had with this car for the past 5 years, granted I was living in New York for a while, you realize that like once you have it, it's not that special anymore, and you take it for granted. I think what ends up happening for a lot of us is we don't appreciate the cars that we currently have because we're always lusting after the next best thing, right? Which might be a GT3 for you, which might be just a regular BMW for you. Who knows? You know, maybe you have an automatic car and you're lusting after the manual experience. Maybe you have a BMW and you're lusting after the Porsche experience. We're always, you know, we don't really look at what we have right now, and we're always lusting for the thing that we can't get and the thing that we want. We live life thinking that, oh, once I can get this car, once I can have my dream garage, once I have this or that, then I'll be happy. But it just doesn't work that way. True happiness just comes from really appreciating what you have and making the most out of it. You know, I think as car enthusiasts, we're pressured into feeling that we have to drive manual cars, or we have to have a dedicated sports car or something along those lines in order to be a true enthusiast, right? Otherwise, you're not really into cars. You're not a driver. You're just something else. But I think for myself, the kind of enthusiast that I am is I just like the act of driving. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that. You know, like we had a 2014 Honda Odyssey, and I really enjoyed driving that car. I remember I went on a road trip and I was coming back, and I was driving the car like this, right, on the highway. It was kind of like a curvy highway, and this was how I was driving the car with, well, I can't do it with this car because it's stiffer, but I was literally just steering with my index fingers and just enjoying that experience. It's not like the car had crazy steering feel. It's not like the car was dynamically perfect in any way. It was a freaking van. When I was driving around in my sister's Honda Civic, I enjoyed that experience. Like, the Honda Civic is not a bad car at all. The Honda Civic is peak car. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. Driving enjoyment and pleasure doesn't necessarily have to come from driving the most dynamically perfect car. At the end of the day, I think Mr. JWW said it. He said, it's not the car that's special. It's all the memories that you made along the way with the car, right? I just want to say that, like, if you're a car enthusiast, but you don't have a BMW, you don't have a Porsche, maybe you don't have, you don't have your dream car, and maybe you have a Fiesta, or maybe you have a Honda Civic, who knows? I just want you to know that, like, you're not necessarily missing out. I mean, you are, like, this is great, like, I wish you could feel this, but I would genuinely argue that there's a lot of people with way nicer cars than you or me who don't enjoy it as much as we enjoy our BMWs or Honda Civics or whatever else. You know, that's a freaking M5 CS. Holy shit. yo. Yeah, I'm sexually attracted to BMWs, but I think what I have to remind myself with the perspective that this car's given me is that I should really just learn to enjoy and appreciate my E46, you know? Like, it's such a shame to have a car like even my E46 or this car and not enjoy it because you're thinking about some other car and thinking about how better that car is. You know, that's like being in an unhappy marriage and you're just constantly comparing your wife to everyone else's wife or freaking Kylie Jenner. And all that's doing is just sapping you of your experience as a person, you know? Like, it's just sapping you of happiness, and you're just always envious of something else, and you're chasing something that you can't necessarily have because it's not the thing you want. It's more the idea of the thing you want. And so, yeah, I really miss this car already. I don't know why I said I really miss this car. I was going to say I really like this car. I really like this car. But I think just a lot of these emotions that I'm feeling about this car right now is more because I'm aware that I'm not going to have it anymore. You know, because if I liked this car that much, I probably would have driven it more. But like I said before, I've always picked my BMW 9 out of 10 times. Anyways, if you like the video, please like the video and consider subscribing because I got a new car coming. It's not mine, but you know, I can share it, so